This video and all of its contents, including any opinions expressed by the narrator, are strictly for entertainment purposes only and is not intended in any way as a substitute for professional services and consultation from a licensed therapist, doctor, attorney, or other licensed professional service provider. Each person must make their own life decisions, and those decisions are theirs. Welcome back to Find Your Alpha. Coming back at you this week with another great story, and you can see the title right on your screen. Girlfriend demanded we open our relationship. Now she's begging me to close it. I'm dumping her instead. And this is a story of a young couple. They're both 24, I think, and they've been together for several years. And lo and behold, the guy finds out that his girlfriend had just cheated on him. And instead of breaking it off with her right on the spot, he decides to get into an open relationship, which we all know is a huge mistake. Now, he makes a lot of mistakes throughout this story, but by the end of the story, he does the right thing as it pertains to his girlfriend, but then he gets himself into another quagmire, which we'll find out when we get to that point in the story. So let's get into it. He starts out and he says, "My girlfriend and I have been together 3 years and have been cohabitating for the past 7 months. I recently turned 24 and she'll be 24 in July. We met at school and started dating shortly thereafter. After graduation, we decided to stay in the area, found jobs, and each of us got our own place until earlier this year when I moved in with her. I have a degree in computer science and work as a programmer analyst 1. So here's another guy from the IT field involved in one of these messes. She has a journalism degree and works for the local newspaper. It's a small paper, so she doesn't make much money. Translation, I'm paying all the bills is what he should have said. Overall, our relationship had been very good. We get along well, talk all the time, and have S on a regular basis. That's why I was so taken aback when I found proof of her cheating. I guess I mistakenly thought we were each other's one and only. Well, she was your one and only, but obviously you weren't her one and only. For me, I couldn't think of being with anyone else and still feel that way now. What are you talking about, my man? You must be out of your mind. I discovered her affair this past weekend while she was taking a bath. I needed to make a call and my phone was across the room while hers was on the table in front of me. How many of these stories do they uncover cheating by looking at their girlfriend or wife's phone when it's unattended? Amazing. Now you would think that that girlfriend or wife would be guarding this phone with her life, but obviously she got careless, or did she intend for him to see it? As I picked it up, a message came through on an app we both use. It was a nude pic from an older guy. At first, I thought it was spam. Then I looked at her recent messages and saw she had sent him a bunch of nudes too, including one earlier that morning. Looking back further, I found a number of pictures of them together along with a bunch of provocative messages. Okay, if you ever get in a situation like this, it's very simple what you do. You get up, you go around, you gather all of your valuables, and then you get the heck out of there. You don't stick around. The messages dated back 13 days. In their early exchanges, they described how great their first time was. So I assume that's when the physical affair started. While I was defeated, I was somewhat relieved, thinking since I caught this so early, we could work through it. No, you don't want to do that. I was also relieved there was no mention of love in their messages. Just talk about what they wanted to do to each other. How is that good news, my man? It's not. When she came out of the shower, she walked into the living room looking for her phone and saw me holding it. She noticed I looked upset and realized I must have seen the messages. She came over to hug me and I couldn't control myself. I ended up breaking down and kept asking her, how could she do this to me? You never show emotion like that in front of a woman. You shouldn't show emotion like that in front of anyone. She started crying too and told me that even though she was involved with this guy, I was the only man she loved. Now I put a laugh emoji here. What a ridiculous statement. I mean, how can you say that, oh, I'm off doing whatever, with this guy, but hey, don't worry about it. I love you. Isn't that crazy? And how many of these stories do these cheaters say that? He says, I asked her who the guy was, and she said he's a business owner, and she met him at work. She claims to have met him one day while he was at their offices, and they struck up a conversation. The following day, he called her at the office to ask her opinion on advertising and invited her to lunch. At lunch, he told her he was married with 2 kids, but explained his marriage was open and expressed that he was interested in her. I had another story I did months ago that I remember that was very similar to this. The following day, he invited her to his business to take a tour. Then a couple days later, she went back, and that's when they had their first encounter. So that quickly, boom! They've since met up 3 more times, each time after work at his store. She said his wife knows all about it and is interested in meeting me. Now that is just grimy. I couldn't believe what was coming out of her mouth. Well, you probably really wouldn't believe what was. I'm not going to say it. She said she didn't talk to me about this before doing it because she knew I wouldn't understand, but swore she was planning on telling me all about it that afternoon. I do believe her on that, as she asked me to clear my calendar Sunday, saying she wanted to spend the day with me. I told her I wanted her to stop seeing him, and she told me she wasn't willing to do that. See, this woman, she knows she's got this guy under her thumb, and this guy is going to do whatever she wants. He's basically just a doormat. She said it was just a physical attraction that would never lead anywhere. She again told me I was the only man she loved and wanted to be with. Again, I put a laugh emoji here because that statement is just completely ridiculous. The words she spoke seemed hollow and in total contradiction to her actions. You think? I again couldn't control my emotions and started begging her to stop. Never do this. Never play that pick-me dance. And again, you're showing emotions in front of a woman. Never do that. She again told me no. So she's telling him, no, I'm not going to stop. And instead tried comforting me, saying things will be okay between us. She said this has nothing to do with me personally, and I shouldn't feel bad, claiming this was something she always dreamed of doing, but never had the chance. She said this guy gave her the opportunity to fulfill that fantasy. Oh my. She tried rationalizing with me, telling me things like these affairs usually don't last more than a few months and rarely turn into relationships. She also said she'd like to have her AP introduce me to his wife. I told her not to mention that to me again, as I wouldn't even consider it. Now, I did give him a thumbs up for that because that's the first rational thing he said throughout this whole story. But in reality, he shouldn't even be speaking to her. He should have left that apartment as soon as he found out. He says, I spent the rest of Sunday laying around the apartment thinking my life was completely ruined and I had no future. Don't ever let someone who cheats on you bring you down and make you feel less than. Your life is not ruined. Your life will be improved by getting this cheater out of your life. All day Sunday, she kept trying to be intimate with me, but I just couldn't. She said I had nothing to worry about health-wise as they always use protection, stating it was an agreement he has with his wife. It's now Tuesday evening and I'm posting here because earlier tonight, she informed me they were going to meet up again on Thursday after work. See, this woman has no respect for this guy. She's totally disregarding his feelings because, again, she views him as a sure thing. I didn't say anything and have ignored her since she told me this. She's in the bedroom now crying herself to sleep after telling me I'm overreacting. Ever since finding out, I've been sleeping here on the couch. Like I said, I really love her, but I don't think I can get past this. Yes, you can. I'm too ashamed to talk to anyone about this, as I think it reflects poorly on me as a man. How many of these stories have we seen guys say that they're embarrassed, they're ashamed? Don't be embarrassed and ashamed. You've done nothing wrong. The only person who's done something wrong here is the cheater. Remember that, guys. He goes on and he says, I don't know what else I could have done to please her. You've done too much to please her. That's the problem. Last night I was not able to sleep and started researching open relationships. At first the articles just made me more depressed, but as I read further, I was surprised how positive some people were about them. Several researchers even recommended them as a potential way for long term couples to keep the spark in their relationships. Don't buy any of that bunk that you read about these kind of relationships. You all know that these people that are writing these articles, they're probably cheaters themselves or people that are in those relationships trying to justify them. Do any of you have experience with open relationships or couple swapping? Is it possible to return to a healthy monogamous relationship after trying it? Those are my questions for now, but I'm sure I'll have more later. So that's the end of his original post. And now we're going to take a look at some of the responses he got back from the community. The first one is from a woman. She says, "My boyfriend and I are in our 8th month of being open, and so far it's been great. Our situation started similar to yours, except in my case, I talked to him first before doing anything. You understand what your girlfriend did was cheating, right? Lucky for me, he was agreeable, and he's been dating my partner's ex-wife." Oh man, here's another one. "I think it works best if you line up a partner for your significant other before doing anything. Otherwise, it's just legitimized cheating. No, lady, the whole thing is legitimized cheating, whether you line up a partner for your significant other or not." The next response is from a guy. He says, "Nah, dude, this woman cheated on you. Period. End of story. Women who engage in this are not marriage material. They're not even good for recreational use, as the risk isn't worth the reward. You're a young guy with a lot going on for you. You can't be that desperate. Get away from her now and let her go out and do whatever she wants, whenever she wants. Trust me, you don't want any part of her. She will make your life a living hell." Bingo. He nailed it there with that last statement. The next response is from a woman. She says, "Open marriages, or in your case, relationships, can only work if both parties are in 100% agreement. My husband and I started being open last year after 28 years of marriage. It's something we had been discussing for years, and we just decided to do it. Prior to doing so, we both made sure we had partners lined up and established a strict set of rules, one of which is, if it ends for one, it ends for both, as our relationship is always at the forefront of everything we do. We've also set aside 3 nights a week for lovemaking, whether we are up to it or not. So far, things have gone wonderfully, and it has brought us closer together as a couple. But again, I want to make it clear we work very hard at it. I don't give this marriage, even after 28 years, much chance of survival. Let me put it this way, I don't think they'll make it to 30. And the final response is from a guy. He says, "Get your A off the couch, pack your clothes, and get out of there. Are you effing crazy? You've got a college degree and a job, and you're in good shape. Why are you putting up with this nonsense? She's doing this because she knows she's got you wrapped around her little finger, and you're an emotional little bee. Grow a pair and leave her, and she'll be chasing after you like she's chasing after her lover now." So that's a sample of some of the responses he got, and now we're going to take a look at some of his updates. But before we do that, I want to remind you, if you've liked what you've heard so far in this video, make sure you hit that like button. That will help get this video seen by people all over the world. Now let's take a look at those updates. The first one came 13 days later. He says, "After talking it through with my girlfriend, we've decided to give an open relationship a try for 60 days. Since my initial post, she has not seen the guy again and says she will not do so until I'm comfortable with it. I also informed her I will not be dating the guy's wife, as I believe the idea of swinging would take things to an inappropriate level. She was disappointed with this, as she has concerns about me seeing someone other than this guy's wife. She considers them safe, since they're deep in love and have been living the ENM lifestyle for more than 10 years. Now, I looked this ENM up, and it stands for ethical non-monogamy, and all it is just a fancy way of saying, hey, we're going to go out and see whoever we want. We're going to have an open relationship. It's all the same nonsense. She feels if I start dating someone on my own that I may fall in love and leave her. To ensure this doesn't happen, we've set up strict rules that neither of us can violate. After learning of my intentions, my girlfriend suggested we go back to being monogamous, or that I could use a hall pass to even the score, and then we go back to being monogamous. I told her I didn't want that, as I too would like to explore having multiple partners. I think she now regrets cheating on me, or possibly just regrets getting caught. Yes, that's what she regrets, as I really think she wanted to keep this all one sided. Obviously, that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a cake eater. She wanted to have you as her rock, the guy she could depend on, the good provider, the guy that's going to be a good husband one day and be a good father one day. But in the meantime, she wanted to have fun with this exciting guy who's in this open relationship, something she always wanted to try. Well, now what's happened since you've caught her, and now you've expressed an interest of going out and dating other women, she's thinking, I could lose my guy. That wasn't part of my plan. I wanted everything. I wanted to be selfish. And now I might be out in the cold and have to start all over looking for another nice guy. I don't want to do that. That's what's going through her head. If you would have asked me a month ago whether I'd ever consider an open relationship, I would have given you a firm no. But now that I've thought about it and had time to research it, I'm intrigued. The one thing I'm unsure of is whether I'll be able to separate having physical pleasure in the absence of love, as I've never done that before. Every woman I've been with, I've had deep feelings for. So as you can see, this guy is a very emotional guy, one of these guys that are really in touch with their feelings, and these are the kind of guys that get walked over by women. He goes on, he says, I know I'm going to catch some grief from those who responded to my original post, as the majority of you were solidly against open relationships. I guess I'm less rigid when it comes to social norms. I also think these kind of relationships will be more common in the future as women continue to expand their horizons and men adjust to this new normal. You can see this guy has been brainwashed by the media, probably brainwashed in college, and he's now got a warped mind. It takes something like this, where he has a bad experience, to change him, to break him out of that. So that's the end of his first update. And now he comes back with a second update 11 days later, which was 24 days from his original post. He says, we've hit a roadblock on our path to fully opening our relationship, which is likely going to delay things a bit. The problem is personal and very embarrassing, which I'll share only here as I can do so anonymously. Ever since finding out about my girlfriend cheating on me, I've been unable to perform. Now I'm laughing, and I'm not laughing about him having ED, because ED is a serious problem for some guys, and I would never make light of that. Okay, I want to make that clear. But what I'm laughing about is, obviously you're going to have trouble performing with somebody who has cheated on you. He says, I have no problem starting things, but I can't finish the job, so to speak. Not just that, I go completely flat after just a few minutes of any kind of intimate contact with her. I've never experienced this before, and it is a concern for me. However, my girlfriend is out of her mind with worry over it. I had to be honest and tell her when I'm with her now, all I can think about is her with that guy and his little man bun. So the guy she's cheating with has a man bun? Oh no, that even makes it worse. Because of this, she has recommitted herself to our relationship and wants me to do the same before we start our journey. She's also told me that she's kind of lost interest in the whole open relationship thing now and thinks she just wants to be a normal couple again. She has even floated the idea that we should get married and start having kids right away. No, 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 you definitely don't want to do that. And again, I'm asking the question, what are you still doing with her? He says, I would have jumped on that opportunity a month ago, but with everything that's happened since, I'm a million miles away from that now. I don't even know if I want that kind of relationship with her anymore. That's my quick update for now. Thanks for all the advice and words of wisdom. So that's the end of his second update. And then he comes back 32 days later with a third update, which is almost 3 months from when he first posted. He says this update is going to be a little complicated, so stick with me until the end, and I think it will all make sense. As I mentioned in my last update, after finding out my girlfriend cheated on me, I'd been unable to perform my boyfriend duties. As a result, I became more and more agitated and started getting depressed. I also was concerned that something may have cracked in me mentally that could perhaps impact my ability to perform in the future. Long story short, I decided to go on a dating app to test this out without telling my girlfriend. So now he's a cheater as well. I thought about signing up for the site that begins with a T, but thought it was just too raunchy for me, so I decided to try the site that begins with a B. The one where women take the lead on contacting men. I made it clear in my profile that I was only looking for a casual relationship and stated I was in an open relationship. On my very first day on the site, I got a like from a woman I knew from my credit union. She did all the paperwork on my car loan last year and is very attractive for her age. She's 40, divorced, and has two grown kids. Now, how could she have grown kids? Oh, I guess she could. I mean, she may have kids that are like 18, 19, 20 years old. I was embarrassed and thought about not responding and just deleting my profile. Instead, I thought I'd just like her back and then politely tell her I wasn't interested when she messaged me back. Those plans changed, however, when she messaged me saying she had just come out of an open marriage and fully supports that lifestyle. Now remember, this guy is just 24 and this woman he's saying is 40 years old. She said even though her profile says she's looking for a relationship, she was open to having a casual relationship and asked me if I'd like to meet for a drink. As I said, I was surprised as I wasn't expecting that kind of response. I delayed getting back to her until just before the 24-hour time clock was about to run out. I thought about letting the match expire, but decided to go for it. So apparently on this site, if you don't respond within 24 hours, the match goes away. I responded and asked her if she had time after work the following day. She replied back yes, and we met at a local wine bar. We talked for about an hour, and she invited me back to her place, and well, things happened from there. Yeah, there's really not a lot to talk about. If you're meeting a woman and you've both agreed beforehand that you want to have a casual relationship, what is there to talk about? You might as well just get right down to business. Let me just say that ED is no longer a problem for me. We've since met up 2 more times at her house, and it has been totally mind-blowing. Like I said before, the thought of an open relationship or even just having casual intimacy with someone was something I never would have considered. What I've discovered, however, is that the idea of someone just being interested in you for physical pleasure is such a huge turn on. When we meet up, we get right down to business, and it's awesome. I can't describe it. It's like living a fantasy. I'm getting my needs met, she's getting her needs met, and everything is good. I can foresee the day where our situationship will eventually burn out as we both want to find long-term partners and we both agree that our age gap of 16 plus years is just too much. I wonder though, when we do find our forever partners, if we will be tempted to meet up occasionally to quench our desires. You see what I've mentioned in other videos about these casual relationships or these FWB relationships? These people who have been in those relationships can always go back in the future and revisit them. So that's why I say anybody that you meet that you're serious about and you find out that they've been in a casual relationship or an FWB, get away from them. That is only going to be trouble long term. Having a conscience, I couldn't keep this secret from my girlfriend and ended up telling her Wednesday night. She was really broken up about it, but after being upset with me for a day, she came back and said, now that I've evened the score, she wants to go back to just her and I. The problem is, I don't want to. I don't want to give up the good thing I have, as I've never felt more satisfied and masculine. So after years of being emasculated, Now he's with this older woman, so that has really boosted his ego. He says, I'd like to let my external relationship run its course and then revisit my relationship with my girlfriend. I tried encouraging her to get back with her AP for a while, but now she doesn't want to. So now he's using that ploy to continue with the open relationship. He's saying, hey, why don't you go back and get that guy with the man bun while I'm having fun with my girl? What advice do you have for me in this situation? You know what my advice is? Break up, get out of that relationship, and go on with your lives. This whole thing is ridiculous. So that's the end of his third update. And now he comes back with his final update so we can see how this whole crazy thing turns out. And the final update came 37 days later, or 16 weeks from when he first posted, so almost 4 months out. He says, a lot has happened since I last posted here, so bear with me as I try to explain. If you remember in my last update, I had told my girlfriend about the woman I had been seeing. She was upset but accepted it and requested that since I had evened the score in terms of cheating, we could go back to being an exclusive couple again. I was unwilling to do that, as I really enjoyed being with my new partner and was feeling good about myself again for the first time since finding out about my girlfriend cheating. This caused a deep strain in our relationship as my girlfriend kept asking me to break things off with my new partner and was very emotional about it. She told me she regrets cheating now and will never do anything like that again. She even formally asked me to marry her and got down on her knees to propose. Like I said in a previous post, I would have been all for this prior to finding out about her cheating, but now I have no interest. I realized at that moment I no longer loved her and decided it would be best if we parted ways. So 2 weeks ago, I broke up with her and moved out. It's about time, my man. You should have done that the first day you found out about her cheating on you. I tried to soften the blow as much as I could for her, letting her keep my furniture and TV and agreeing to pay half the rent for the next 3 months, but she has been an emotional wreck. She's been calling and texting me daily with different proposals, begging me to take her back or at least date her. While I do still care for her and want her to do well, I no longer have any romantic feelings for her. To make things worse, after I got through telling my parents my girlfriend and I had broken up after growing apart, my mom called my ex to talk. Instead of being vague, my ex told my mom what happened, explaining she cheated on me first, then informed her that I've been cheating on her with a 40-year-old woman. After hearing this, my mom was really upset as my partner is nearly her age. Yeah, this guy's 24, so what his mom might be like 45, 46, 47. So she's not that much older than this woman that he's hooking up with. She told my dad, and now he's really upset with me, and both have demanded that I stop seeing my casual partner now. I tried to explain the type of relationship we have, but they don't understand these arrangements and really don't care to learn. They have no concept of things like FWBs or open relationships. To be honest, neither did I before this happened. I'm not willing to give up the good thing I've got, but at the same time, I didn't want to lose my parents' respect. So yesterday I lied and told them I broke things off with her. You see how staying with a cheater can really change your whole character? Because now, not only is he a cheater, but he's a liar. I feel bad for lying, but they'll never find out as they live 3 hours away and they don't know her name, nor does my ex. I told my partner about this. She's cool with it and said she understands how my parents are feeling. She said she'd feel the same if her son was in a similar situation. Our plan for now is to keep enjoying each other's company until one of us finds a forever partner, at which point our relationship will end. So that's where things are now, and this will likely be my last update. Thank you for reading my post and for all your replies. So that's the end of this crazy story, and obviously this guy made a ton of mistakes. The biggest one was staying with his girlfriend after she cheated on him. And now he's still making a big mistake by getting involved with this woman who's 16 years older than him and just having this casual fling. Yeah, it sounds good, but I'm telling you, it's going to mess up his brain going forward. This guy should just cut it off with her, move on with his life, focus on his career, and then if he wants to go out there and find a good woman to settle down with, he should do that and get out of this situationship, as he referred to it. And now I want to go over what I think are some of the morals of this story. The first one, never be a sure thing for a woman. You see, this guy was to his girlfriend, and you saw where that got him. Next point, never cry or show weakness in front of anyone. When you do, people brand you as being weak, so never do that. Next point, open relationships are just legitimized cheating. No matter what anybody tells you, no matter if a therapist or some professional tells you, oh, you know what, give these a try. Sometimes that added spice can really bring value to your relationship. Don't buy it. It's legitimized cheating. Next point, getting partners is easy for a woman. It's hard for a man. I don't care how good looking you are. I don't care how wealthy you are. It's tougher for a man to get women than it is for women to get men. All women have to do is give a guy an extra long look, flash a smile, and they're going to have guys just lining up for them. Next point, staying with a cheater may turn you into a cheater. Just exactly what happened to this guy. Not only that, once you become a cheater, you become a liar. Not only was he lying to his girlfriend, but you saw he also lied to his parents. So the best thing you can do if you're ever involved with a cheater is break it off with them. I say that in all these videos. Next point, having a casual relationship puts you at an elevated risk of cheating once you get into a serious relationship. And my advice to guys out there, and I've said this on past videos, if you encounter a woman that you start getting serious with and you find out at one point she had been an FWB partner or an F buddy for another guy, I would run as fast as you can away from that situation. That's nothing but future trouble. And then finally, if you need to find pleasure outside of your relationship, you no longer have a relationship. It's over. So those are my thoughts, and now I want to hear from you. What did you think of this story, and how do you think this guy handled it? Would you have handled it the way he did, or would you have done something completely different? Have you been in an open relationship? If you have, tell us about it in the comments. How did it go? How did it work out? Also, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you